out what to do with these. And this strategy that I'm going to give you on this particular problem is great for the SAT. So if you're a 10th grader and you've kind of checked out because you know you're not taking an SOL, you want to really hone in on this one because this is a great way to do SAT questions, which all of you are going to have to do in order to get into college. So the height and radius of a cone, so I know I'm talking about a cone, are each multiplied by 3. Multiplied by 3. What effect does that have on the volume? So I'm going to go to my formula sheet. I'm going to look at volume of a cone. That's 1/3 pi r squared h. So volume equals 1/3 pi r squared h. So I know I have one cone. That's a very weird looking cone. And then I've got a bigger one after it's been multiplied by 3. So if I make my first one, just because 1 is an easy number, if I make it a radius of 1 and a height of 1, then in my new cone, my radius is going to be 3 and my height is going to be 3. So all I've done is I've made an imaginary first shape with easy numbers. That's how I got the 1 and the 1. You could choose anything. 1 is just the easiest number. Then it tells me I've got to multiply by 3 for my second shape. So I get a radius of 3 and a height of 3. So I need to calculate the volume over here. So the volume of the small shape is going to be 1/3 pi times 1 squared times 1. And then the volume of my bigger shape is going to be 1/3 pi, 3 squared, and 3. I need half the class to do that math problem and half the class to do that problem. Once you have an answer, put it in the chat. And let's see if I can hopefully open up my chat so I can see it. Oh, it worked. It's always a good thing. So grab a calculator. 1/3 times pi times 1 squared times 1 equals what? Uh-oh, I started writing and the chat went away. Oh, no, it didn't. It's just behind. Anybody get a number? I got 1.04. So now we got to do the math on this side for the radius of 3 and the height of 3. What'd you get? 28.26. Now we've got to divide those. So it says, what effect does this have on the volume? So 28.26 divided by 1.04 gives you what? 28.26 divided by 1.04. Oh, I had something weird in my calculator. It's basically 27 times bigger. And if you look over here, 3 squared times 3 is 27. If we just look at what's different in the equation, 1 squared times 1 is 1, and 3 squared times 3 is 27. So it's basically 27 times bigger. Okay, this would definitely be a hard question, right? If I was doing my check marks here, I would have easy, medium, and hard, and I would definitely put this as a hard question. It's got a lot of steps in it. So question number 2, maybe this one's easier. The height of a cylinder is 9.5. And the diameter of the cylinder is 1.5. As soon as I see diameter, I find the radius. So if the diameter is 1.5, then the radius is 0.75. Oh, wait a minute. Centimeters longer than the height. So plus 9.5. Oh no, I can't even do that, can I? This is what I get for not reading the whole thing. So the diameter of the cylinder, D equals 9.5 plus 1.5. So the diameter equals 11. If the diameter equals 11, then the radius equals 5.5. So we got to read and translate. That's why you spend all that time in algebra translating stuff. What is the closest to the volume of the cylinder? So we can look at our volume of the cylinder. Pi r squared h. Pi r squared h. Volume equals pi r squared h. And then we just substitute. Pi times the radius, that's the hard part of this question, times 9.5. And then you just put that in your calculator. 3.14 times 5.5 squared times 9.5. So I got 902.36. Why is that not an answer choice? Because it has pi in all of those too, right? So if it has pi in all the answer choices, I don't put it into my calculator. If pi is in the answer choice, I don't put it in the calculator. So 5.5 squared times 9.5 is going to be 287 pi. 287 pi. If pi is in your answer choices, don't put it in the calculator. Multiply all your numbers. Use pi like a variable almost. Okay. Questions on that? So this is maybe a medium question, right? Because I had to find the diameter and then find the radius and then find the volume. And then actually maybe it's a hard question because that's 4 steps, right? Question number 3. Oh, finally an easy one. How do I find surface area? So I find my shape, 2LW plus 2LH plus 2WH. So length, width, and height. So 2 times 24 times 12. I'm going to multiply those two together. Plus 2 times 12 times 18. I'm going to multiply those two together. Plus 2 times 18 times 24. I'm going to multiply those two sides together, right? So if we multiply all that together, 2 times 24 times 12, my first term is 576. 2 times 12 times 18. And then 2 times 18 times 24, 864. So first term, second term, third term. And then we're just going to add them all up. 576, 432, 864. And what answer did you get? Anybody? So it's definitely an easy question. Everybody should be able to get this one. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Volume of 2 spheres have a ratio of 1 to 8. What is the radii? So we've done one question like this the last 2 days. The ratio is 1 to 8 of their volumes. What's the exponent for volume? 3. And then what's the ratio, or what's the exponent for radius? Is radius centimeters, centimeters squared, or centimeters cubed? It's just centimeters, right? So I'm going to take the thing that I'm given and take the cube root of it. Okay? So if you take the cube root of 1, you get 1, and you take the cube root of 8, you get 2. You're going from volume to radii, so you have to take the cube root. If you know what you're doing, this is easy. If you don't know what you're doing, this is very difficult, right? But if you know that volume and radii get smaller, you can at least eliminate those two answer choices and have a 50-50 shot. Questions on that? I know we haven't talked about that a whole lot. Hopefully you get an easy question on that. Sarah's filling a glass sphere. If I'm talking about filling something, is that volume or surface area? Volume. The radius of the sphere is 2. What is the closest to the minimum amount of sand Sarah needs to completely fill that glass sphere? So I'm going to open my formula sheet. I'm going to go to sphere, 4/3 pi r cubed. 4/3 pi r cubed. 4/3 pi, they told me what the radius was, cubed. So you just put that in the calculator. Everybody grab a calculator and put that in, see what you get. In the chat, what answer do we have? Everybody put this in the calculator. This is another easy one. You just need to know that filling something is volume. Absolutely, absolutely, right? So in our easy, medium, and hard columns, hopefully we've got a check mark under easy after we do this one. This one's kind of weird, and we haven't done any examples like this, I don't think, with scale models. But basically, you're going to do a proportion here. So Aaron built a similar model of the Washington Monument. And the height of the actual monument, so I've got a model and a real Washington Monument, right? So the height of the actual monument is 555.5. That's the height. And Aaron's model is 505 millimeters. So this is feet, right? The width of the base of the actual monument is 55, and that's feet, right? And that's the base. What's the closest to the width of the base of the model? Basically, this is just a proportion. So you're going to cross multiply. So 555.5x equals 505 times 55. And then you're going to solve that equation. The trick is to get the model's height over the base and the real monument's height over the base. And then you just cross multiply. It's all about organizing those numbers. So when you do that, what's 505 times 55? I got 27,775. And then we've got to divide that by 555.5. And you get 50. How do we feel about proportions? Is this one easy, medium, or hard? Anybody? Remember, similar shapes we make a proportion with. Similar means we do a proportion. It's just we haven't done any quite like that. I would say this is a medium question. You got to be able to organize it, and then you got to be able to solve it. All right, throw back to our circles test. What two equations can I set up? How are these two things related? The central angle and the central arc, how are they related? Are they equal or half? I know somebody's thinking equal. If you're thinking equal, that's correct. So the central angle and the central arc are going to be equal. So you can set up equation 3x plus 5 equals 80. Maybe you don't remember that. Maybe you remember the flashlight. So angle Q is half the size of this arc. So the angle is smaller, so I need to either do 2 times the smaller thing equals the big thing, or half of the big thing equals the small thing. So 2x plus 15 equals 80, or x plus 15 equals 40. Any of those 3 equations are going to get you x. I need you to solve one of those right now. Solve either this equation, 2 times the small inscribed angle equals the arc, or the inscribed angle equals half of the arc, or the central angle equals the arc. All of those equations should give us the exact same answer. What do you get when you solve one of those?
25.
25, absolutely. The easiest one to solve is this equation, but all of them get the exact same answer. Questions on that? That one should have been easy, hopefully. Easy, check. All right, 2 more questions. A cylinder has a volume of 300 pi. So V equals 300 pi. And a base of 10 pi. So that's the big V equals 10 pi. What is the height? Right? So once we've translated all of those words, volume equals 300 pi and base equals 10 pi, we need to go look for volume of a, I forgot what it said, volume of a cylinder. So volume of the cylinder is pi r squared h. Volume equals pi r squared h. This is the area of a circle, right? Pi r squared. So my cylinder, that base is what shape? That's my pi r squared. This whole thing gets plugged in right there. I'm going to give you a second to think about that. So if the base of a cylinder, has a circumference of 10 pi, that makes my life a little more difficult. So I can't just plug it in. This is circumference of 10 pi, right? So if the circumference equals 10 pi, then 2 pi r equals 10 pi. Divide by pi and divide by pi. What does r equal? 10 divided by 2, r equals 5. Then I can substitute. So I've got 300 pi is my volume, and then pi times 5 squared, and then h. Divide by pi, those cancel out. So 300 equals 25h. And if you divide by 25, what do you get? H equals what? It's 300 divided by 25. Is it 12? This is a hard question. First, you have to read the circumference equals. Then you've got to solve for the radius. Then you've got to substitute it back in order to get your answer. 300 divided by 25. Have I put everybody back to sleep? Or are you still awake?
Still awake.
Okay, last question. Select the correct answers. The volume of a cube is 216. So I know volume is cubic. That's an exponent of 3, right? The dimensions of the cube are changed to create a rectangular prism. So I've got a cube with all the same measurements. And then it turns into some kind of rectangle. One dimension of the cube is changed by a factor of 3. So what I can do is I can find the side lengths of my cube by taking the cube root, right? Do we remember how to take the cube root in Desmos? So I don't know this one off the top of my head. Desmos graphing calc. Oh my gosh, all my tools are on top of each other. All right, it's gonna disappear, but. So we need to go to functions, right? Miscellaneous. And then cube root of 216. It's gonna be 6. So if I come back over here, all my side lengths are, and I have now lost my tools.